Sunderland make no sense to me. Although I am the Irish guy, and come on! This is your chance to come clean and tell me this is all pretend. That Sunderland actually being in a hunt for Champions League football near Christmas time is actually one big prank. Everyone but me is in on the joke, right? Right? In the same way when you're all sitting around the family dinner table for a Christmas meal and your cousin tells you that he's getting married to a tree. It's just a joke, right? Purely designed to make you dribble soup at your nose. Yeah, because that's what I'm feeling now when I look at Sunderland just months after I made this video.
This will be the worst team in Premier League history.
Oh, that's clever, right? Very wise. Oh no, in no way have you just made yourselves look dumber than a bunny rabbit who thinks that carrots are evil. Lads, let's just remind ourselves of some of the sound bites from this video I made in June.
I don't think Sunderland will put a single win on the board. And they will become the first team in Premier League history to not even put a points total up in the double digits. And to top it off, there's probably going to be a 7-0 defeat. Maybe 8, maybe 9, maybe even 10. I think this is going to be hands down the worst Premier League season of all time.
Yeah. Now let's look at the feedback.
Oh look, the Newcastle supporter thinks Sunderland will suck. Shocker. Congratulations to Sunderland for winning the Premier League. Well, if it isn't Mr. Biased over here. Tell me you're a Newcastle fan without telling me you're a Newcastle fan. Remember, Michael predicted Sunderland to get relegated to League 1 last season.
This being in an era where no one called me Susan. Well lads, okay, you have to remember, okay? Sunderland had just been promoted with a bunch of babies. Inexperienced children with zilch top-flight experience. I was fully thinking that these raw kiddies were going to freeze a match of the day. And we'd actually be watching fully-fledged professionals get so much stage fright. Yeah, one of the centre-backs had probably done the halftime interview sucking on a lollipop and crying for his mum. And oh yeah, you just lost your best player to Germany. Which reminds me of when Wigan came up in 2005, sold their star man Nathan Ellington to West Brom, and were third in November having won 8 of the 9 matches. Which, I'm sorry, looking back on that title-winning form from little old Wigan, that really did look weirder than coming down in the middle of the night to catch Beyonce stealing cheese from your fridge. That was a stranger sight than seeing your dad play spin the bottle with a snowman. But Sunderland, I guess, are doing a Wigan, and I, for one, am confused. I mean, let's be real. When I made this video, I was commenting on a dead team. Seriously, that Sunderland side which got promoted no longer exists. They broke up quicker than Millhouse's parents. So many new signings were brought in over the summer that it's now actually a rare sight to get a glimpse of some old school championship players squirm their way onto the pitch for Sunderland now. I mean, last season's local lad captain Dan Neil, he now gets less action than your granddad in a nightclub. Seriously, his reward for last season's heroic efforts is, so far, 2 minutes on the pitch. 2 minutes! He's 1 game short of his 200th match for Sunderland. A proud moment for the entire Neil family, and yet the boss, Regis Labrie, he looks like he'd sooner gonna whip out a ring and propose to a banana before he'd give his old captain another start. And that's what really confused me about this, because Sunderland have signed loads and loads and loads, yeah. But, so? That's a tactic which is not supposed to work. Any manager in the world will tell you that signing 10 plus first teamers in the same summer window is overkill. It's stupider than hosting a barbecue in the middle of traffic. You're probably going to get slapped by an impatient truck before you get to serve a burger to your uncle. I mean, lads, Nottingham Forest broke the record for the most amount of signings in a single summer window when they came up, and they were then hot garbage all year who were incredibly lucky to survive. And lads, Forest brought in some big names that season. Dean Henderson, Nico Williams, Jesse Lingard, Morgan Gibbs-White, Serge Aurier, Danilo, Brendan Loddy, Chris Wood, and Kaylor Navas. It's not like they were waiting through a bin to collect soggy yogurt lids. And still, Steve Cooper could not knit together a cohesive team. So how has Sunderland managed to pull this off? I mean, don't get me wrong, buying Xhaka was odd. And actually, it is worse than odd. It looks suspicious. Seriously, it's like when you see the most popular girl in school hand in hand with the maths geek. You know, the one who's got chunks of ham hanging out of his braces and who sniffs his crisps at lunch. Okay, fine, that was me. But yeah, you're going to assume that that girl is only with him for a dare. Yeah, that was also me when I saw that Sunderland were in talks with a Ballon d'Or candidate, a recent invincible, a monster midfielder who is Champions League worthy. To see him at Sunderland is like seeing J-Lo out to dinner with Togden. This is a recent invincible, a monster midfielder who is Champions League worthy. To see him snaffled up by Sunderland, how? I am still in shock. I mean, it's not as if Sunderland had a massive name in charge with a swagger pull. No, you had all that with Roy Keane when, yeah, he could use his star name as a manager to attract quality. I mean, getting in a France international striker like Djibril Cissé, that was mightily impressive. He was somebody who Liverpool chose to sign instead of Drogba. And Keane was using his Manchester United connections to really push his luck, even trying to persuade Diego Forlan to join. Seriously, in April 2007, Sunderland were still in the Championship, and Keane was already trying to butter up Forlan on the phone. I mean, that might just be the biggest pushing of luck a newly promoted club has ever tried, right? Trying to coax actual Forlan, whilst he's in the middle of winning multiple European golden shoes. And he was just 3 years off dominating the World Cup in South Africa, where he'd win the golden ball goal and a goal. Oh, come on. Trying to get him to Sunderland just because Keane used to shower with him? No!
Roy called me to explain his project at Sunderland and offered me the chance to play there as one of the main signings for next season, said Forlan. I am very honoured he called, but I am happy here.
That is a mega respectful response to a disrespectful offer. Seriously, it'd be like me calling it an honour to be invited to eat spaghetti with True Geordie like Lady and the Tramp. No, I'd rather use a spoon, buddy. But yeah, Forlan said no, and Sunderland got Michael Chopper instead. I thought that would be the case here. That Xhaka even entertaining these talks was him just being nice, and that he'd soon come to his senses and join AC Milan instead. But no, he actually left Milan on scene to become a Mackem. I am still aghast. Why? Regis Labrie does not have the swag pull of a Roy Keane. No, before this season started, he wouldn't even be famous enough to be invited onto the I'm a Celeb jungle. Lads, I said that Sunderland would be worse than Derby. You know what the icing on the cake was on this pile of cow poo? Here's what I said about Wolves.
14th Wolves. Word on the street is that Wolves are going down, right? Isn't that what people are whispering just because they sold a couple of players? And relax. Look, Pereira has done great work at Molyneux so far, and they'll be absolutely fine. Trust me, if Wolves go down, then I will buy every sausage roll in Greg's.
This season might actually be about to give us the worst Premier League outfit of all time. We could very well be about to be given the official worst Premier League outfit of all time this season, and it's not the one who I said it would be. Now, that team's trying to qualify for Europe. No, it is the one who I specifically went out of my way and said would be fine. Lads, never listen to me whenever I watch a horror film. I'll probably tell you all the kids will be fine in it. Seriously, Wolves have 2 points from 13 matches so far. And so far, they look like a diabolical bowl of melted fudge. Sunderland, though, are hunting down European football. Can you imagine? If they wind up in Europe next season, no, that would look insane. As we speak, that Netflix crew is probably hurriedly trying to break back in the building. And lads, this Sunderland side welcome Newcastle to their patch next week. Yeah. Play what I specifically said about those derby matches.
I reckon they're going to be slapped in both Tyne-Wear derbies. Yeah, I will say that Newcastle will win 6-0 at St James's Park and maybe 5-1 in Sunderland.
I'm scared. Okay? I'm fully admitting it to you right now. I am afraid because Christmas could be about to be ruined in spectacular fashion, as if you just found Kenny Clarkson pooing in your cornflakes. The Magpies have not won a Premier League match in Sunderland for nearly 15 years. Sunderland have not tasted a top-flight defeat in their own stadium for 8.5 years. Sunderland are also unbeaten at the last 9 league meetings with the Magpies. They won 6 of them in a row. And as for the neutrals out there, there's probably rarely a good Tyne-Wear derby, right? Seriously, because over the last 20 years, only one team usually shows up. Both of these clubs are known to absolutely freeze on the pitch. I genuinely think the last time there was a Tyne-Wear derby where both sides played to their potential, where neither of them choked, it was the 3-2 Newcastle win back in October 2005. But yeah, I mean, it's been a while, because the Newcastle sides under Pardew and McLaren, they absolutely choked against Sunderland, as if they were trying to wolf down a plate of wood. And lads, Sunderland's home form has been magnificent. Nobody's managed to win here this season. Aston Villa failed to win here before they went on a run of 7 wins out of 8 games. West Ham, Brentford, Wolves, and Bournemouth have all been beaten here. Not even Arsenal could see out the win. And again, I have said that I think Newcastle will breeze towards a monster, brilliant, easy win. I'm scared. I'm genuinely quaking like a petrified butterfly. And I shouldn't be, right? Because this Sunderland team is not full of superstars. They've got one, Xhaka. But his influence on the team, I don't think I've ever seen one player have this much impact for a newly promoted side ever. In fact, I know I haven't. He's been an absolute dream. And this is a player who is perfect for a derby. But then again, so is Bruno Guimaraes. 2 absolutely fiery hotheads who are also Champions League quality. It should be the most talented midfield matchup in Tyne-Wear derby history. It's 2 elite superstars going head to head. Unlike back 20 years ago when it was Grant Ledbetter versus Alan Smith, 2 guys who had the combined technique of squash banana muffins. But yes, I'm scared. I'm really scared. This is not going to be an easy match at all. And anyone who thinks it will be, clearly you're the same type of imbecile who thinks that your teddy bear is your mate. He's not! Okay, fine, I was lying. Mr. Crumbles is my wife. I don't get it though. How are Sunderland this good? How are they turning into the best newly promoted side of all time? I don't get it. It's confusing. It's weird. It's unnatural. Because Xhaka aside, most of their new signings have 0 Premier League experience. Bertrand Traore is ripping it up every week. Are you kidding me? Bertrand Traore? The same Bertrand Traore who was chased out of a rubbish Aston Villa. Some limp cookie who couldn't buy a start under Stevie G. He very much felt like when Forest signed Andre Ayew, a washed up, forgotten footballer in in his 30s, who was just a last gasp addition to their pile of big signings. He was just proof that they got carried away. Look, I'm still going to back Sunderland to melt away though, okay? And yes, I think they will still be a late addition sucked into the relegation scrap. And why not? I mean, they're about to lose 7 of their players to the African Nations Cup. Surely they're going to run out of steam in 2026 when they now have to bring the likes of Neil and '09 back in the team. I mean, they could realistically lose every single match in January. And what is that going to do to a team's momentum and fragile confidence? I'll tell you what it's going to do. I've seen it before, back in 2005. Wigan won 8 out of 9. Then lost 5 in a row. Because, to be fair, they were handed the mother of all horrible fixture lists. Arsenal, Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man United in a row. That was rough. And yeah, that losing run sort of melted away a little bit of the club's self-esteem, because they only won 1 home match after that between December and the summer. Hull City also absolutely caved in after their brilliant start in 2008. And I remember their manager, Phil Brown, enraged me because they were extremely lucky to stay up by a point. Look, I remember at the end of the previous season, Fulham had stayed up on the final day at the expense of Birmingham and Reading, and the Fulham boss Roy Hodgson, first thing he does is stare right down the camera after the match and pass along his sympathies to the clubs who went down. Yeah, Hull lost their final match at home against Man United's B team, and I remember seeing Brown celebrating on the pitch with a microphone, rejoicing in the fact that not because Hull won, not because anything he did. No, it's because Newcastle had lost. Because that is the only reason the Tigers stayed up that day. Because Newcastle lost at Aston Villa. Because Hull had not helped themselves for months. 1 win for the final 22 league matches. That is 6 months of failure, yet Brown was dancing around the whole pitch after the mother of all self-implosions. I genuinely remember being disgusted at that, because Hodgson was a gentleman the year before, but Brown, he was acting like a boorish oaf. He just stumbled his way out of a pub at Fredford Stone. But look, my point is that Wigan and Hull melted away after Christmas. So surely that's going to happen to Sunderland too. And then maybe this video in the summer won't have aged quite as horribly, right? And surely that rot begins at Anfield tonight. Surely. Anyway, that's the video. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Is this copium? Maybe, but let me know in the comments. Wow, what even is the word copium? I don't know. Anyway, that is the end of it. Enjoy the video. Don't forget to get to your raise. I'll talk to you in a while.